Good morning. Today we are correcting CO72, determining the number of possible outcomes of an event. In this objective, we talked about the two different ways of finding the outcomes. We have the probability tree, which we map out every single possible outcome we could have, and then the counting principle. The counting principle goes a lot quicker, but it's really hard sometimes knowing what the exact events are and then how many outcomes there would be for each event and then multiplying those together. So for our homework, I told you I want you to list every event and how many outcomes there are. So when we go to correct the next page, I want you to make sure that you got your events correct and the outcomes for each event. So for the pizza crust, we did this one together. We had different choices for our pizzas. Each one is an event. Choosing a crust, there were 4 types. Choosing a toppings, there were 15. And choosing the size. Did we do this one together? Yeah. Okay. Choosing the sizes, there were 5 sizes. So we multiplied all those together and we get 300 different types of pizzas. So, Liv, even though you were absent, I want you paying attention up here so you can be hearing it because I'm kind of explaining them as we go. I don't want you writing the answers, but I do want you listening. Okay, so each choice that we're making is an event. So when we come down to the new truck, each choice we have with our truck is an event. The outcomes are how many choices we have for that event. So for the cab size, there are 4. For the wheel cover, there were 3. For the spoiler, there were 2 choices. And for the paint color, there were 4 choices. I multiply all those outcomes together, and I get 96. Now, for our combination on our lockers, I saw lots of different answers as I was walking around. There are 3 numbers in our locker combination. So how many events is that? Yeah, it's 3 events. Let's listen, please, so we can understand our mistakes. The first event is choosing the first number of our combination. The second event is choosing the second number of our combination, and that third event is choosing the third number. So there were 3 events you should have listed, and it's from 0 to 49. So if I take the number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 49, I put those numbers in a hat. How many numbers do I actually have in the hat? A lot of us were thinking it was 49, and when I first started my answer key, I thought the same thing. And then I stopped and went, oh, wait a minute. 0 is a number too that we need to count. So we have 1 to 49 is 49 numbers, and then the 0 puts us at 50. So for our first number in the combination, there are 50 outcomes. For our second number, there are 50 outcomes. And for the third number of the combination, there are 50 outcomes. So if I multiply 50 times 50 times 50, I saw some of us do 50 times 3, but there's not 3 outcomes. There's 50 outcomes, 50 outcomes, 50 outcomes. There's 3 events. We have to be very, very careful with that. Does that make sense how we get 125,000 different combinations? Okay, now we're picking a card from a 10-card deck. And we're not going to replace our card, and then we're picking a second card. So I have 10 cards in my hand. I pick a card. That's my first event. Pick one. I pick a second card. That's my second event. So I have 2 events. My first pick and my second pick. In my first pick, I have 10 cards in my hand, so there are 10 outcomes. But since I don't replace the card. For my second pick, I only have 9 outcomes. So 10 times 9 is 90. Does that make sense? So that's why it's not 10 and 10, because we didn't replace the card. So you really have to pay attention in the question if you are replacing something or not replacing something. In the daily 3 lottery game, 3 digits, how many events is that going to be? 3 events. First digit, second digit, third digit. Digits may repeat. They are numbers 0 to 9. How many possible outcomes are there? So if I've got 0 to 9, that is 10 numbers because 0 counts. 1 to 9 would be 9 numbers. But we also put in a 0, so there are 10 numbers to choose from for our first digit. Our digits can repeat, so I had 10 numbers for my second digit, 10 numbers for my third digit, because those digits can repeat. How are we feeling about that one? 10 times 10 times 10 gives me 1,000 different combination possibilities. So again, you have to be very careful how many events there are and how many outcomes for each event. And my last one, you have 180 outfit combinations between your shirts, pants, and shoes. You have 3 different pairs of pants and 5 different pairs of shoes. How many different shirts do you have? Well, I'm going to set it up the same way. How many events do I have? I have shirts, pants, and shoes. I know that my pants, I have 3 choices. My shoes, I have 5 choices. So I know those outcomes, but I don't know how many outcomes are in my shirts. But I do know my total is 180. So now I have to do opposite operations to figure out how many shirts there are. So I know 3 times 5 is 15, and then I need to divide out that 15 so I get my question mark left by itself. So I had 180 combinations divided by my 15, and that leaves me with 12 shirts. How many of us got that last one? It was a tricky one. Nice. There were a few of us that realized we had to do opposite operations for that. So that is not something new. Sometimes we will get these objectives that bring back old objectives, and we need to always be looking for that. What do I know from previous things that I can apply to these new objectives? So they get a little more complicated when we have to do multiple objectives that we've already learned in it. How are we feeling about these outcomes? Show me your thumbs. Like I said, I saw a lot of people that had wrong answers, but that's because we messed up either with how many events there were, or we messed up with our numbers for our outcomes. So things that you need to take care of, to be thinking about when you're answering this. I see a couple of us had some shaky thumbs, but we're going to keep working on these possibilities, the possible outcomes, as we're going through our unit. We're going to learn more about the probability. So really try to think about what events you have. So we will get more practice with that. If you are watching this at home, I hope you're well and hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.